walls down. Break the walls down.
What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Going to talk a little bit about Reborn Tengu. You probably have noticed the kind of small feud between Dp-Ygo and Dissilent Enigma over this card. So I just thought that I'd put my input on it. So, alright. First off, Reborn Tengu is definitely an amazing card. It's a game-breaking card when it actually goes off, but there are a lot of decks that people have been putting it in that it probably shouldn't be in. The best 3 decks for my money that you should be playing Reborn Tengu in are Plant Synchro, Scraps, and Fabled. And I don't have any Fabled stuff, so just pretend that this is all Fabled. And I'm also missing some really simple cards that I thought I had, but I just can't find anymore, whatever. These decks kind of use the card in some different ways, but I'm going to answer some of Drew's questions. I know one of the questions he asked was, what happens if they royal press it? I mean, that's kind of irrelevant. If you have a hand of, let's say, Chaos Sorcerer, Debris Dragon, and, I don't know, Lonefire, that's actually a pretty good hand for Plant Synchro, but if your opponent has Royal Oppression, it really doesn't matter because you're fucked. Whether you have Tengu or not, if you have a hand that has a lot of special summoning and you can't get rid of Oppression, chances are you're going to be getting your ass whooped anyway. The Oppression is not just going to hurt the Tengu, it's pretty much going to screw over your hand and your what you're trying to do, your strategy. So, I mean, that's kind of irrelevant. What if you use all your Tengus or you blow through them and you don't kill your opponent? And Scraps, that doesn't really matter that much. I mean, Scraps just use it as fodder really for tributing for Golem or for Scrap Dragon. So it really doesn't matter. I mean, to be honest, it just kind of adds fuel to the fire. I mean, it's not like you really even need Tengu to win. It's just when you get it, it just adds, it just makes the deck a lot faster and it makes the deck more potent. That's the word I'm looking for. It makes the deck more potent because you can now blow up a card with Scrap Dragon and get a 1700 beater at the same time. If you run out of Tengus, I mean, you pretty much just go back to the basic game plan of blowing up your other Scraps and getting effects. With these 2 decks in Fabled and Plant Synchro, I mean, both of these decks run 2 to 3 copies of Pot of Avarice depending on the speed of your build. So, I mean, avaricing them back is not really a problem, especially if you still have a good amount of tuners in your deck. I mean, you can just draw one and then, get a tuner, play Limit Reverse, Call to Haunt, Monster Reborn, whatever, and proceed to go off again very easily. So, the best question is probably what happens if you draw multiple copies. Now, if you draw multiple copies in a deck like Scraps or a lot of decks, it is going to hurt. I mean, it's not like playing with house money like a Treeborn Frog or a Volcanic Shell, something that, you can discard or, I mean, you can get in the graveyard and it still kind of pays for itself. It's not like that exactly. But it will slow you down and it definitely will hurt, especially if you draw, God forbid, all 3 of them for some reason. You're probably just going to lose. For Fabled, it's absolutely not a problem at all. I mean, most of the decks are going to run Phoenix Wind Blast, Karma Cut, or Regeki Break, or some variation of those cards. So that's one way to get that out of your hand, use that for fodder. 1-for-1 is another card that Fables are going to use as they use Lonefire Blossom, Chawa, and Spore. Another card, all Fables run card destruction. Some of them use the Tricky. And a lot of Fables themselves have abilities to, like discard other cards. So, in Fables, it's not really an issue at all. And Plant Synchro, it can be a little bit of a toss-up. If you do draw multiples, it hurts a little bit. Or, I'd say it hurts a good amount. Barring you not running any quick draw stuff, because that would obviously make things a little better. If I was running Reborn Tengu in Plants, I would probably use something like Plaguespreader, as Dp said, over something like Gale, because this does give you a way to get rid of a Tengu in your hand and still be able to Synchro. Another card that Plant Synchro is going to run is 1-for-1, pretty much in all builds. But still, that's only 2 cards out of a 40 or 41 card deck, so your odds aren't very good. So, if you do happen to draw multiple Tengus and Plant Synchro, it can be a little bit of an issue. If you draw it in Scraps, it does hurt, and if you draw it in Fableds, it's not really an issue at all. I mean, Fableds are just going to do what they do. with that being said, Reborn Tengu is still an amazing card. It works differently in all these decks, as I said. In scraps, I mean, you're really just using it to fuel what you already are going to be doing. I mean, you're already going to be using Scrap Dragon effectively and trying to win off that. It's just now when you have Tengu on the field, you can win faster. And this deck, Fabled, it's just, I mean, it's bananas. I mean, you can do something like 1/1, a glow up and make 2 Librarians in 1 turn, or you can make a Librarian and a Reagan, or just all types of dumb stuff. Plant Synchro, it kind of has a lot of uses, not just for Synchro abilities, but you also have Caius, which has kind of been losing popularity, but Reborn Tengu gives you more fodder for that. So I guess in short, you know, there are ways to mitigate drawing multiples, especially in this deck. There are a couple in the Plant Synchro matchup, but I mean, that shouldn't deter you from running this card, especially in these 3 decks. I mean, if you want to test in other decks, I'm sure that you can find ways to make it work effectively. But these are the 3 decks that I would really suggest that you run the card in. So that's basically what I have to say. You know, I hope WK and Design Enigma watch this and maybe they can give their views on what I said.